So it's actually really hard to stop and think about the fact of how can such a large error, $3,000 error, actually create a lifetime of loyalty. And I'm going to explain to you right now how one mistake actually can be the catalyst and was the catalyst for this business earning a lifetime of loyalty from myself personally. And the proof has been in the pudding. So let me explain it to you right after this. All right, so let me just explain a little story here. What I'm actually talking about right now is an exact situation of myself working with one of the five-star resorts in Sydney. And I'm a Platinum Accor member, and I spend probably $70,000, maybe $80,000 a year with Accor hotels with the amount of presentations we do, the conferencing, stays, travel, and things like that. So needless to say, I'm one of the five biggest spenders for Accor every year, and they treat me really well, and I'm really grateful for that. I go out on $165 million boats for Christmas parties and get treated around, and that's good. But I mean, look, they've more than made up their share of money for me buying those type of experiences, I guess, with the loyalty I've shown them. But let me just explain a little situation that massively helped in that occurring for Accor hotels. So a couple of years ago now, we were starting to do a lot more it's quite a few years ago now. We started to actually do a lot more with Accor. We were doing work with IHG and intercontinental chains and things like that. And we did have a little bit more of an affinity towards Sofotels, Pullmans, and Accor hotels, and the way that they worked with their events, the way they treated us, the experience of what they gave to our clients. And as a net result, we actually had not a bad experience, but an experience that was a little bit far from ideal. Now, this was a situation that over the course of 2 or 3 days, there was about a $3,000 expenditure at this hotel, which isn't a huge amount. Look, $3,000 is a lot of money, but in the scheme of what we were doing at the time, it wasn't a huge amount of money. So we basically had a lack of five-star service. We had a situation that showed that basically in the five-star resort, the second bedroom that we actually had, we had one of our team members staying with us, actually found a used condom wrapper, not the condom itself, just a used condom wrapper, which is still bad enough, right? Just down behind the bedside table. Not in full view, out of the way, but still something that probably should have been picked up by housekeeping. We also had a few other things, and it wasn't a great experience over the couple of days, right? I won't go into all the details, and this isn't to slam or be difficult to that hotel. But here's what happened as a net result. With Accor hotels, when you actually finish up and check out, maybe a day later, they send you a feedback form. Now, the most amount of people actually don't ever do anything about it, particularly when the experience is good. But I'm always a big fan of working with feedback. We do it with all of our clinics. I do it with our clients. I want to know after our conferences, etc., what we did well, what we didn't do so well, what's one thing that we could do to knock their socks off next time, and so forth. So I'm a big supporter of providing feedback, whether it's good or bad, and nothing's worse than having one of those ones where you answer 25 questions, you click the next button at the bottom, and it says page 1 of 6, and you think, oh my God, I'm wasting 25 minutes of my life. That's not the way to do feedback. How to do feedback is for another podcast, but suffice to say, if you just keep it short and sweet and enable someone to just give you 2 minutes or 3 minutes of their time maximum, then you're in a situation where you can go ahead and give some really good feedback, change the experience, and it works for both sides. So I've always given feedback, and I continue to do so. And as a net result, once you get to like a gold or a platinum level with a core, those particular platinum level, you have a separate feedback form that actually comes to you, and every single one of those goes personally through to the general manager of the hotel, which I think is actually really good, because it's saying that, hey, we want to actually make sure that the general manager of our hotel is going to actually personally go through things. And I know a couple of the general managers now, and they do actually go through them. They might only get one a day or one every 2 days from your platinums, and that's okay. That's really great for them to be able to do that. I think it's fantastic. So I always give open and honest feedback, and I've very rarely had to criticize anything because they do a great job. We're already happy. When this occurred, I actually reached out and answered the questions, gave the details, and I made them realize I'm not here to whinge and whine. They know when I give feedback, they've got it all on record, but I was able to be open and honest and let them know that for $3,000 of what we spent, I wasn't really happy with how it all sort of went down. Concierge car parking didn't occur. I left my Mercedes out the front, had to unpack my own stuff into one of the trolleys. I waited more than 15 minutes to get checked in. There was a few things that needed to get taken care of that didn't, right? And I just politely pointed those out and explained the fact of what you're doing, what you're paying. It's a 5-star resort, your loyalty level. Here's what we did at the time to help out, etc. As a net result, here's what happened. That was sent through at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By about 3 o'clock that afternoon, I had a personal email coming back to my assistant from the general manager. And I'm not going to use his name. Let's call him Steve. So Steve Steve emails me and emails my EA and says, look, I've got the details. Can we organise a time with Jason to actually have a chat? I want to be able to talk to Jason, sort out a resolution, etc. So as a net result, I jumped onto a phone call with him literally the next day in a time that suited me. And as a net result, we had about a 20-minute conversation. Now, that 20-minute conversation was probably the most powerful thing that he could do from his brand and his hotel. It wasn't me rubbishing the hotel or whinging or complaining. I wasn't demanding a refund and an apology or anything like that. It was just me actually sitting down and saying, look, here's where we're at. I'm in business myself. I know what it's like to get feedback. I welcome feedback. I want the good stuff, the bad stuff, etc. We're able to talk very openly and very honestly. And regardless of how much I said, it was more just about me helping them out to help other people and myself in the future. He was very insistent on either giving me back my money at the time or holding that money on my account there for loyalty at their hotel in the future. Totally up to me which way I wanted to go. Now, I sort of reluctantly had to say yes and go along with it, which ultimately at the end of the day was a $3,000 benefit to myself. So what I actually decided at the time as well was I didn't want to fiddle around with the time and energy to give card details or sign a form or get my EA to do that or anything like that. I was actually super respectful of what he'd done, the time and effort he'd taken out, the fact that there was a simple process to actually acknowledge what was actually done, what they could have done to help out. And it wasn't the $3,000 that I ultimately said, no, I don't want that money back now. You know, out of goodwill and out of respect for how you've dealt with this, I actually want to keep that $3,000 as loyalty in your hotel. And I know that I'm going to be back. And it's a bit of a, you do the right thing by me, I do the right thing by you. And so what it comes to show is a couple of things. Most of us are wired that we don't want money back right now. We don't want to necessarily have to have that money back now. You did the wrong thing, so blah, blah, blah. Most people go about it the wrong way. If you're actually open and honest about things and you're actually doing, maybe complaints or feedbacks for the right reason and to help out and empower others to be better rather than just being critical, you actually open up an open dialogue to actually get benefit for both sides. As a net result of him, Steve, taking that time and effort, we actually were in a situation where I could have taken that money back and gone, I've got the $3,000 back now. But I chose, because what feels right is to say, you've actually done the right thing by me. I'm going to do the right thing by you. And it creates a win-win for the business. As a net result, the $3,000 was on the account. We've spent I think in the last 2 years, more than $30,000 at that hotel alone. So as a net result, it's been a damn good investment from his point of view as well to do the right thing by me so that we can continue a relationship and improve a relationship that has not only got, 10-fold or 11-fold the actual return to his hotel in a 2-year period, but I've also brought in $4 or $5, maybe even $6,000 worth of additional business from business colleagues of mine. A couple of my business partners in one of my other companies from internationally have flown in and stayed there as a result of my loyalty with that brand and that hotel. So it goes to show that you might make what you feel is a catastrophic mistake in your business. It might be something in your health business that's, maybe feels like $200 or $300, and the world's going to end. What if it was a $3,000 mistake? How are you going to be able to better deal with it? Because if you deal with it the right way, like Steve did in this situation, then it creates a really good loyalty avenue. And I can tell you in the health business side of things, with our money back guarantees in my clinics, we've only ever had to do it once. And I had to force hard to make that happen for that client about 6 or 7 years ago now to actually take that money back. And it was like $80, right? And she wouldn't take it back. And I said, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. And so she did eventually take that money back. But as a net result, we actually ended up seeing 3 of her family members in the next 6 months. She was actually recommended us. This was quite a while ago before sort of social media became a big thing. But she actually recommended us via an email to a family friend of hers as well. And as a net result, we actually had 4 clients, 3 family members and a good family friend, 4 clients referred to us from her because of the way we dealt with, not a complaint either, just a bit of a not so optimal experience that she'd had. Now, if you go back, and I probably should have maybe done a little bit more backgrounding before this podcast, but if I went back 6 years to that situation, that's 4 people that ultimately we on average see clients 5.2 times, I think it is, right? So if you're in that situation, that's about 21 visits. 21 visits at your average dollar sale means that you're actually going to make it from that client about $2,000. So for me in that one situation as well, that's a potentially $2,000 either benefit or mistake that we either made and got done right, or we should have done better. In that situation, I did the right thing, worked it in the right way. We gave like an $80 refund, which is the only time I've ever had to do it in business. And as a net result, we made in the next 6 months at least $2,000. Now, if I went back and actually looked at those numbers in the last 6 or 7 years since that occurred, to actually look at the lifetime value of that, of how many more people have come as a net result, John or whatever her son was came, and then how many people has John referred, etc. That one action easily could be $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 worth of business into that one clinic of mine 6 or 7 years ago because of the way I dealt with it. So here's the thing. When you get a little bit of negativity or you get some feedback, the way you deal with it and actually being forward and open and honest is absolutely crucial. If it means you have to feel like you're ditching a little bit of cash right now, that potentially is going to be the best thing you can possibly do. And the vast majority of the time, more than ever, anything, people just want acknowledgement. They just want to be acknowledged for what they've said, for what they've put forward. And you've got to be able to take the potential criticisms or the negativity in the right light. It's not that they actually want their money back. I didn't want my $3,000 back. I wasn't whinging. I wasn't complaining about that. But as a net result, we did get $3,000 of loyalty, which has actually made nearly 11 times that for that hotel. And in my situation, 6 or 7 years ago, $80 back has brought in more than $2,000 in the following 6 months alone. So acknowledgement in those situations with people and dealing with them the right way is absolutely the best way for you to be able to deal with these situations. So whether you have a $100 issue or a $3,000 issue or a $50,000 issue, the way you deal with those errors or mistakes or those negative feedbacks is absolutely crucial for you to be able to get a lifetime of loyalty moving forward. So have a think about how you're doing in your business right now. Could you do a little bit more? Could you do it differently? What are the first 3 steps you need to put into play right now to make every post a winner when there's some type of perceived negativity or not so great feedback? I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.